So hi guys, Tim and Toby here, back in the final episode, episode 10 of How Germany Lost the War. And this episode will be this final episode, and it is the final episode because it's the final battle to say in the war in Europe, and this is the Battle of Berlin. So basically April to early May 1945. And now the Allies have been pushing back the Germans ever since August 1944, ever since Normandy campaign has gone right into Germany. Basically, the Germans, as we spoke about the last episode, at the several pockets, they were captured or killed, and so it was basically the Russians were sent on their way to Berlin, or really, the Americans let the Russians into Berlin. Because out of the three main allies, Britain, America, Russia had been the most tormented, to say the least, by Germany, so that's why America allowed Russia to go in first and do what they can. So what you got in Berlin is bombed out, ruined bits, you got civilians running about, a lot of friendly, well, I say friendly fire, but it's actually civilians getting killed in the crossfire. You got a lot of Germans literally just surrendering in droves. And really the most part of it was, or really the most people actually defending Germany were called the Volkssturm, or the People's Army, essentially the Home Guard, if you like. So Toby will give you up to date on the German Home Guard, the Volkssturm. So Toby?
Yeah. So the Volkssturm was founded in October/November 1944, and that fell under the head by then of the replacement army, Heinrich Himmler, also head of the SS, among other things. So this was basically a last-ditch effort by Germany to kind of summon the people, just the ordinary people of Germany, and exploit them one last time with the ultimate sacrifice of death for the Führer and Germany, or so they were saying to them. They were old men and young boys of the Hitler Jugend. There's some pretty good photos of them carrying just Panzerfaust, so just to kind of clarify, some of them were literally armed with just a Panzerfaust. Others were then armed with ancient shotguns, revolvers, stuff where the ammunition really didn't even exist for them. I mean, just to clarify, they were using weapons that had been used in the Napoleonic era, for goodness sake. And, well, what happened when they went into combat? Surprise, surprise, they got absolutely chewed beyond belief by the Russians. And as the Russians were out for Berlin, very, very few captured would really survive. They were just, some of them, if they were lucky enough to be issued a rifle, they would get 2 rounds, and no pouches for it, like the Mauser K98K pouches. They would literally just be given 2 rounds, put it in your pocket, off you go to the front, there you go. This also increased the logistical issues Germany faced, because by that time, Germany was having issues with its logistics and had been throughout the war. And because what's introducing, a lot more German soldiers to it going to do? Oh, that's right, it's just going to absolutely muller the logistics even more effectively. They were really poorly equipped. In fact, they had to literally rely on other units to supply them rations, otherwise they just wouldn't get to eat at all. Full stop. And one last thing on it is the Volkssturm. One of the reasons it was called that is it's the People's Army, or the People's Assault Force. And that's the Nazis wanted the Germans to feel that everyone was basically being dragged into this, no matter the social rank, no matter what they did, no matter really anything. They just wanted people to think that, no matter what happened, they would go down with them. And, as Adolf Hitler himself said, if we go down, we'll take the world with us.
Right, yeah, thanks Toby, well said. And so, as the Russians were going basically from house to house, street to street, in Berlin, trying to basically clear out every Volksschule member and proper German army member there was in Berlin. By late April, or 30th of April 1945, Adolf Hitler had committed suicide in the Führer bunker at the time, because there was no point. By this time, German generals had been committing suicide as well, because again there's no point, because Russia has already entered Berlin. The British and American troops were coming up as well on an opposite side, so Berlin was basically getting crushed in on three sides. And there's even a photo I've actually seen of a German Panther tank, believe it or not, actually buried in the concrete on a Berlin street with a lot of ammunition, a 75mm Panther tank rounds around it, which is quite a very interesting photo. And yes, as Toby was saying, armed with Panzerfaust, which are really last-ditch, one-use take-out-a-tank weapon. They worked, but again, it was one use only, and then that's it. You have to run off and flee, which was, the thing to do at the time. So, really, to finish the video off, by the time you get up to May 8th, 1945, the war was over in Europe, with Germany, and Britain, America, Russia, the whole people, they celebrated the whole thing. Or really, I'll go back a bit. By the time Russia had entered Berlin, entered the Reichstag, they had put up their Soviet Red Army flag on the top of the Reichstag to say that we've captured Berlin, war is over, with the help of the Russians. There's a very famous photo of the 115th Russian Infantry Regiment, actually, because they were the regiment who put up the flag up on the Reichstag, which is a very, very famous photo. But then as I go forward, 8th of May 1945, Britain, America, Russia celebrated because the war in Europe was over. Yes, Toby?
Yes, so one thing a lot of people don't know is the last SS troops in Berlin, still holding out to the very last, were not even Germans. They were actually part of the Charlemagne division, which was raised from French recruits, and also parts of SS Panzergrenadier Division Norge, and other divisions like that, pretty much. Landsturm Nederland also were fighting in, and you can kind of understand it, because if you think about this, they'd volunteered. They weren't recruited, they had volunteered, so they thought, I guess they were thinking, well, we haven't got anything else to lose, more or less. The entire regime has fallen apart, and Adolf Hitler lay dead in his bunker. And interestingly, so some people for some reason think that a lot of the high-ranking Nazis escaped. So there are two things against this. So Adolf Hitler himself, there's no end of speculation about this. However, there is proof, definitive proof, from a KGB general that they found the remains, the burnt remains. They then buried them under a parade ground in East Germany, and then before the Soviet Union fell, they just completely destroyed them and emptied the remains into the sewers of Madberg, East Germany. Martin Bormann was found near a bridge. He tried to go across and was then ambushed by tanks and also soldiers of the Red Army. And Joseph Goebbels and his wife killed their children and then themselves. So really quite nasty. Another battle not many people know is the Battle of the Halbe Pocket, which again is a bit small, but basically a load of Germans before the end of the war wanted to surrender to the Americans. So they actually had to break out of a really big pocket, and it was a brutal battle. A lot of them died. There's a lot of remains still in the forest, still haven't been found. So, I'll hand over to Tim.
Right, thanks Toby. So 8th of May 1945 is always considered, and still is considered, as VE Day, Victory in Europe. But that isn't the end of the war in general. There's still another continuation of a war to come. So, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in another series sometime in the future. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and hope you enjoyed this really nice lengthy series. So yeah, so we're back for another series. See you guys. Bye.